And we're back this time for Pitchfork basketball. We're only 5 days away from the start of the 2020-2021 basketball season. And Simon, I know neither of us could be more excited for this season.
Absolutely. On the men's side and the women's side, Tempe is the place to be for college hoops action.
Now, before we get into basketball, we have some Pac-12 football news as the conference announced this week that it would allow Pac-12 teams with a cancellation due to an opponent's COVID-19 quarantine to schedule a non-conference game in its place. The newly scheduled non-conference game would have to be held at a Pac-12 school's home field, broadcast by a Pac-12 television partner, and the non-conference opponent would also have to follow all Pac-12 testing protocols and guidelines in order for the game to be approved. Now, Simon, let's finally talk some basketball.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited for this. And let's get into it on the women's side first. The ASU women's team is headed into another promising year with head coach Charlie Turner-Thorne at the helm, especially with the newcomer mix and a couple veteran returners. Now, the Sun Devils will have to run through a gauntlet of a conference slate as the Pac-12, which boasts 5 preseason top 25 teams and 2 All-Americans, Arizona's Ari McDonald, and USC's Michaela Onyenwere. ASU will have to bounce back from a 10-8 conference mark last season, trying to extend that margin and make a run in the Pac-12 and NCAA tournaments.
And now let's bring in Jonah Krell's package on Charlie Turner-Thorne's legacy.
Season will mark Charlie Turner-Thorne's 24th as the Sun Devil women's basketball head coach. Just let that sink in for a second. Almost a quarter century of excellence that CTT has instilled in this program. It's about time that we look back at the top moments that have defined her career at ASU. At number 5, Breon January, perhaps the most legendary Sun Devil that Turner-Thorne has had the opportunity to coach. January is near the top of multiple career statistical categories and has the most wins in program history in a 4-year span. She was drafted 6th overall in the 2009 WNBA draft and continues dominating to this day. January even rejoined CTT as an assistant coach for 2 seasons and made a massive impact. Turner-Thorne has said, quote, "Anytime I'm out recruiting, I use Bree as an example of what we look for in a Sun Devil." On to number 4. The women's basketball team completed a historic sweep of the Oregon schools in January. First beating mighty Sabrina Ionescu and number 2 Oregon, and then number 3 Oregon State 2 days later. You see them storm the court in Tempe after they beat Oregon, but the Sun Devils would have to scratch and claw once again to beat Oregon State, and that they did. They became the first unranked team in NCAA history to beat consecutive top 5 opponents. Number 3, Charlie Turner-Thorne leading ASU to 2 Elite 8 appearances in 3 seasons, and both times they were led by you-know-who, Breon January. Now number 2, some things are just bigger than basketball, and this game definitely showed that. In 2018, the Sun Devils traveled to the Navajo Nation to take on then number 4 ranked Baylor, called the Showdown on the Res. It was a special game because Navajo culture was on display and it was on Veterans Day. Turner-Thorne made it her mission to honor these people and inspire the Navajo kids to play basketball. While ASU would end up losing, this was more than just a game. It showed what can happen when people unite and have mutual respect for others. Finally, number 1, Charlie Turner-Thorne achieving a huge milestone, winning her 500th game last January. But it wasn't a cakewalk, and she had to earn this win over USC in triple overtime. The star was Riley Richardson, who finished with 24 points and 3 threes and absolutely came up clutch. On this next play, they would get the rebound off the missed shot, kick it out, and swing it to Richardson, who drills the 3 with 1.9 seconds left. This would be the game winner for ASU and history for Turner-Thorne. Coach Turner has led the Sun Devils to postseason play in all but 1 year since 2001, and the team was likely to make its school record 7th straight appearance in the tournament before the pandemic cut their season short. ASU fans should be excited for the future of this program, as there is no sign that Turner-Thorne is slowing down. But for now, I'm Jonah Krell, Untitled Sports.
And with that, we're going to welcome in WCSN basketball analyst Gabby Ducharme. Gab, what can we expect out of this Sun Devil roster that only brings in 1 senior?
Mentioned it, one senior at the helm for this Sun Devil basketball squad, Brianna Sanders. She is going to be huge for this team this season. She's going to be expected to step up not only as a leader but also as a starter on the basketball court. When you look to the rest of her teammates, 7 new players on the ASU team, about 5 of them actually freshmen. Biggest freshman to look out for, of course, Maggie Besselinick out of Ontario, Canada. Maggie absolutely dominated in Canada basketball back in 2015 and has now suffered injury going in all the way up to her time starting at ASU this year. She's battling a major ankle injury, but if she can come back from it, well, this ASU team is going to be absolutely dangerous. Despite that, they are so young going forward. Looking into their schedule, of course, you can expect them to go through essentially a gauntlet of a schedule. This ASU team will face off against roughly 5 different teams within the top 25 just in the Pac-12 alone. So facing off against teams like Arizona, facing off against teams like Oregon and Oregon State in back-to-back weekends will be simply put, a tall order for this ASU team. Looking forward, you can expect that they will be able to possibly punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament, but they certainly aren't going to be the experienced veteran team that they were a season ago.
Now, Gabby, Taya Hansen only shot 24%, but from beyond the arc in her career. What can she improve, and especially for the fans' perspective, to make that better into this season?
Taya Hansen is a player that a lot of people have just been waiting for her to pop since she came to Tempe in August 2018. I spoke to her last April when the pandemic first struck via Zoom, and she discussed with me, Gabby, I'm in quarantine right now, but the one thing I'm working on is my jump shot and my ball handling. I want to become more of a swing man up there on top of the arc. I want to be more reliable for my team. I want to become a leader come next fall. Well, next fall has come, and of course, that's where we are. 5 days away from the season beginning. It's been the same message for Taya Hansen the last 7 months. Every single day she's working on that jump shot. Every single day she's trying to get better from behind the arc to improve at least a little bit on that 24% from behind the arc the last 2 seasons. What you can really expect from her is for her to be a leader on and off the basketball court, both vocally and showing it off with some sharp shooting abilities that she's been working on ever since the pandemic first struck. See what will happen next.
Let's send it over to Charlie Turner Thorne and hear what the head coach has got to say.
Kind of hard to scout sometimes because we just didn't execute last year, but also we were tended to morph what we did depending on how we thought people were going to play us. If UCLA was going to, blow up our on-ball screens and pressure us, we might, change things. But we just really have, we're doing things just adapting to our personnel like we always do. So we have top 5 class with some really good returners, and it's probably the youngest team I've ever coached, but really talented. So we're just feeling like it fits us and excited for it. So we'll be opening it out, breaking it out next week.
And Gabby mentioned it. There was a historic weekend in ASU women's hoops when they faced the Oregon school, swept them both. First time in women's college basketball history a team has welcomed the number 2 and 3 teams in the country, beat them both in the same weekend. So let's look back at the back half of that contest. Oregon State came into town. They were riding high, and Arizona State shut them down. You see the final score, 55-47, and a huge part to that for Arizona State was their defensive effort against All-American Michaela Pivic. She was great all season, riding a 14-game double-digit scoring streak into the contest. She would score 13, but ASU held her defensively. You see the great defense by Robbie Ryan there in the one-on-one in the post. Now, how about a little action from the outside? Jatavia Tapley with active hands, active feet, causing trouble on the defensive end for the Beavers. What's normally a floor general on Pivic was unable to get anything going on consecutive possessions. Let's move to the fourth quarter. Beavers do get something out of Destiny Slocum, the little give-and-go action out of the inbounds. You see her kicking out. Defense good for the Sun Devils. Active again, but a little bit extra help defense gives Slocum an open spot in the corner. They would take a late lead. But who else to respond for Arizona State other than Robbie Ryan? Dribbling through traffic, through 3 defenders, a reverse lay off the glass. A nice move from the senior, all-time great Sun Devil, Robbie Ryan.
And you mentioned it exactly correctly. Jatavia Tapley and Robbie Ryan, great in the defensive end, but also on the offensive end. As you see Tapley laying it in there off the glass, being physical down low, getting tips on balls, and then also showing her on-ball skills, laying it in right there once again. Both of those seniors were huge in this one, especially Tapley scoring 14 points, and then Robbie Ryan, 10 points and 5 of 11 from the field.
Huge for ASU, 15 for 18 from the line. They got the points when they were given to them, made the most out of their opportunities, and was able to extend a lead late. Robbie Ryan was huge in that, as you mentioned.
And that's exactly right. Now, not only is the ASU women's team exciting, there's something else exciting in Tempe. We'll get to that after the break.
Coming up after the break, Alex and Simon preview the upcoming ASU men's basketball season. Plus, we'll hear from head coach Bobby Hurley. Next on Pitchfork Basketball.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. In-depth local news coverage has been a part of Arizona PBS since its inception and has never been more vital to our state. So join us weekdays for an hour of local news, starting with Arizona Horizon in its new time at 5 o'clock, followed by Cronkite News at 5:30. We finish the hour with Break It Down, where we'll take a closer look at the topics we're all talking about. Arizona Horizon, Cronkite News, and Break It Down, starting at 5, only on Arizona PBS.
I've always wondered what was out there. Since I was little, I thought about discovering life on other planets, but that seemed so impossible. I didn't think that could be me. When I got to ASU, I met Professor Lindy. She's one of the first women to ever lead a NASA deep space mission. I got to actually meet somebody that was doing the type of work that I thought was inspiring to me. It was pretty cool. Without ASU, I don't even know if I would have applied for the internships at NASA. But then, Lindy told me to go for it. So I did, and I got in. I actually get to work on a rover that's going to Mars. I have to pinch myself when I think about the things that I get to do right now. ASU really did help me to go after my dreams.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water.
Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
And back here inside Pitchfork Basketball, and we mentioned before the break, something else is exciting in Tempe. What is that, Simon?
Absolutely. For the first time in a long time, Arizona State men's basketball is a legitimate Pac-12 championship contender with very real hopes for a single-digit seed in the NCAA tournament. The hype concerns recruiting and returners. Alex, we got a top 10 recruiting class coming into Tempe for the first time, and it's as exciting as when James Harden was here a decade ago. What is Arizona State going to get out of Josh Christopher and Marcus Bagley, their big-time freshmen?
Well, they're going to get some tremendous athleticism and some tremendous shooting, especially from the big man in Bagley. From beyond the arc, he likes to be a stretch guard, and he likes to play on both sides of the ball. As you can see, Josh Christopher there, he's showing his athleticism. Man can fly, that's for sure.
Absolutely, a special talent. Christopher gets to play alongside his brother Caleb, who's more of a true-to-form point guard. Saw a lot of time last year. Listen, Caleb was not recruited just so Josh can get here. Caleb is a legit guard who's going to vie for a starting spot at some point this season. And let's talk about the guards a little bit. Remy Martin's coming back. That was awesome to see for Arizona State. And it was so great for the college basketball scene. He was named a preseason All-American at point guard. Only the second ever Sun Devil to be given that honor.
Yeah, and not even just his skills on the floor, but his leadership style is going to be huge, especially for some of the youngsters coming into this season.
Yeah, there's a lot moving and shaking with a roster, and this new and improved lineup will get as tough a test as they get early when they face number 2 Baylor in the first round of the Empire Classic and a potential second-round matchup with third-ranked Villanova. Let's bring in WCSN basketball analyst Nick Borgia. Nick, man, I just said it right there. 2 of the top 3 teams Arizona State gets gets to face in the first week of their season. What can we expect out of the Sun Devils?
Yeah, so Arizona State making this early trip over to Connecticut for this Empire Classic, and yeah, you said it, opening up the season with #2 Baylor. There's no better way to do it. They're going to get put right to the test. #2 Baylor is #2 for a reason, and they were a monster of a team last season. They went 26-4, and 4 of those 5 starters from that team last season will be making a return to the Baylor lineup. So yeah, as I keep saying, Arizona State getting put right to the test here. Baylor led by Jared Butler, who put up 16 points a game last season, 3.2 rebounds, 38.1% from three-point range. The guy's a walking bucket. He's nuts. And yeah, it's just the 4 players who were on the team last year, coming back this year, are already in the system that they're so comfortable with under the same head coach, being Scott Drew. Scott Drew, Big 12 Coach of the Year last year, and there's just a very well-disciplined team. Arizona State will be having to come on their A game to put up a fight here for the first game of the season. After that, on November 26th, which will be Thanksgiving, they're either going to play #3 ranked Villanova or Boston College, depending on what goes down on November 25th, which is when they play Baylor.
Now, that should definitely be an interesting Thanksgiving for the Sun Devils and their fans. After the opening set of games, what will ASU expect from the remainder of the season?
Right, so after the little family outing out to Connecticut, Arizona State will come home and have their home opener against Houston Baptist. That'll be on November 29th. And shortly after that, actually, they'll have their first conference game of the season. That'll be against Cal. It'll be an away game. But yeah, the Pac-12 is doing it a little bit differently this year. Normally, each Pac-12 basketball team will get 18 conference games a year. This year, they're getting 20, so that's 2 extra. And Arizona State's 2 extra games are going to be in December. So the first of which will be on December 3rd against Cal. After that, they're going to play San Diego State. Then they're going to play Grand Canyon University, UTEP, and then finally the last team, they're going to play Utah on December 22nd. That'll be their second conference matchup, and that'll be a home game just before they go home for Christmas. And so yeah, these first 2 conference games are super important for the Sun Devils. Obviously, they're aiming to go 2-0 before heading into the new year. Once they get into 2021, they're only going to have to worry about the rest of the conference with the big-time teams such as Oregon or UCLA. But getting these first 2 wins early on is going to be huge for the Sun Devils. And we've got a word from Bobby Hurley here, the head coach of Arizona State, on what he's expecting from the squad this season.
It's very early, and we've had a very unusual offseason, but we got to get it in gear, and we got to practice better than we have the last couple of days. And so there are some alarms going off a little bit about what we're doing on the practice floor right now, and about our maturity level. We're kind of, I would equate it to someone dating someone right now. We're like, we like going to the movies and maybe getting a nice dinner, but are we ready to take it to the next level and commit? Are we ready to commit to each other? Or are we willing to put the toilet seat down every time after, are you willing to, take the garbage out? We got to, do some of the dirty work too. It's great when you have a lot of talent and a lot of expectations and a lot of guys with a lot of hype, but we got to do, a lot of the little things that you got to do in a relationship. And that's what we all are. We're a team. We're like a living, breathing relationship that needs work every day.
Now, Hurley obviously had some interesting words there, especially about the expectations of his team. Now, not only has the recruiting progressed from, kind of middle of the pack to the top of the pack, also as the non-conference schedule, they've been playing top-tier talent, but they're not getting blown out anymore. They're playing close games and even winning those.
Absolutely. It's been a hallmark of Hurley's tenure to schedule legit competition in the non-con. We're going to take a look at some of the big-time matchups that Arizona State has played. Ranked non-conference competition in the top 10. Let's look back at some of those moments. We go back to 2015-2016. Arizona State with back-to-back games against Kentucky. Trey Holder jumps the passing lane, skips through the lane. The and one to Willie Atwood. He fights through some traffic and gets the score for the Sun Devils. ASU playing on the road at Kentucky for the first time ever. A big-time matchup at Rupp Arena. You see Holder there. A legit guard you for sure, and he personified that with a little give-and-go action to Willie Atwood.
Now, obviously, we see the nice dime by Trey Holder there. Now let's go to the next time they play Kentucky, this time in the Bahamas. Cody Justice can't hit the floater, but hey, let's get back on defense and maybe get a tip or something on the shot. Oh, look at Shannon Evans get up and send the ball to his own team. They run in transition, and Trey Holder passes forward for the slam, puts the Sun Devils within 40. But again, it's about progress. Trey Holder, floater in the zone, over the top, off the glass, just can't finish.
Let's look at this defensive effort, offensive effort, little bit of work in transition for Kentucky. Bam Adebayo with a reverse slam. Man, what a special team that Kentucky squad was. 3 future pros. And now on the offensive end, Arizona State making something happen with a little ball movement of their own. Churchill with a 3-pointer from the corner. Arizona State was blown out in that contest, but still fun to face a blue blood.
Now let's take it back over to ASU against Creighton. And look at this play by Torian Graham. Spinorama and slam it home. That, again, progress. Only down 15 in this one. You might see a theme here, Simon.
All right, back to the blue blood battle against Kansas. Lou Dort making things happen. Sends one over to Tate Cherry. Bang, knocks it down. 3-pointer from the elbow, extended for 3. Knocks it down. Tayshaun Cherry with a big-time bucket. Now here's Zylan Cheatham coming the other way. He has his pockets picked a little bit, but Lou Dort's there to save the day. A little give and go of his own as Zy Cheatham slams it down for 2. A couple future pros in their own right. Big Shot Rob, that's what they called him this past season, and he lived up to that moniker. Gave the Sun Devils the 3-point lead with a bucket over Kansas. They'd win against number 1 for the first time.
Now let's go against Virginia last year. Low-scoring ball game. Look who steps in front and takes the charge. None other than Jalen House. Tremendous defense from the Sun Devil freshman.
It's big man, little man action here as Huff, who stands at over 6 feet 9 inches, was barreling down the lane, and none other than the under 6-foot freshman, Jalen House, stepping in front of the restricted area, feet planted, legal defensive position, takes the charge. A little bit of defense can make the highlight tape every now and then.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, obviously, Sun Devil basketball, you got to be social on the court, right? Am I right? Talking defense. We're going to get social after the quick break. We'll see you next after the break on Pitchfork Basketball.
Social media is reacting to the upcoming college basketball season. Plus, we'll take a look at the keys to the game as ASU men's and women's basketball officially tips off next week. All right here on Pitchfork Basketball.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water. Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. In-depth local news coverage has been a part of Arizona PBS since its inception and has never been more vital to our state. So join us weekdays for an hour of local news, starting with Arizona Horizon in its new time at 5 o'clock, followed by Cronkite News at 5:30. We finish the hour with Break It Down, where we'll take a closer look at the topics we're all talking about. Arizona Horizon, Cronkite News, and Break It Down, starting at 5, only on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pitchfork Basketball. Simon Williams with you here alongside Alex Coyle. Now, we were just talking about the excitement that surrounds the Arizona State University men's basketball team. And the proof is in the pudding. It's also in the social media metrics. According to SkullSparks, one of the leading social media analytical firms, Arizona State men's basketball social media accounts have been in the top 25 of engagements since the offseason started. And that has a little something to do with Josh Christopher, Marcus Bagley, and the exciting recruiting class Arizona State's brought in. For more on social media, let's head on over to Olivia Eisenhower.
Yes, we are only 5 days away from the season, which means a lot of social media action this week. But we're going to start off with just the coaches, not the players. Charlie Turner Thorne tweeting out a TikTok challenge to men's head coach Bobby Hurley. And now, guys, we know that they are not to back down from a challenge, but we have yet to see anything in response to this from the men's basketball team. Next up, Josh Christopher is playing ready or proving to fill those shoes and getting ready to fill those shoes for this upcoming season as he poses on Media Day as pictured by Bleacher Report Kicks in the Kobe 2 shoes and mimicking this. It's great to see how dedicated it is to the success of who he hopes to mimic his game after. And speaking of a legend, it's probably too soon to call him a legend since he still has a year left, but Fox College Hoops named senior guard Remy Martin as one of the 6 AP preseason All-American team members after receiving all Pac-12 honors last season. Remy sure does deserve that recognition and is well on his way to becoming an ASU legend. Now without Remy and Josh, I don't know how successful this team would be, but we do know that there is always ways for these two teams to get onto social media. For the socially distanced social media zone, this is Olivia Eisenhower. Back to you guys.
So much, Olivia. Remy's an interesting case in terms of social media. He's big on Instagram, but you can't find him at all on Twitter. So for as social a guy as Remy is, he's always smiling, always hanging out with fans before and after games. Can't find him on Twitter. Just one of the weird little quirks about Remy Martin. So we're going to bring back in our WCSN women's basketball analyst, Gabby Ducharme. Gabby, we got 3 keys for the Sun Devils on the women's side. What do you got for us?
3 keys, it's pretty simple, guys. Number 1, you got to be able to defend the 3-point arc. This was something that the Sun Devils really struggled with last year. This is the reason why they ended up losing against Cal Berkeley in that opening round of the Pac-12 tournament. They couldn't defend the 3. You got to be able to close out, get low, and stay low when you're going up against stars like Ari McDonald, as well as stars like Michaela Onyenwere from UCLA. Looking next to their second key, it's simple. Who's going to step up between Taya Hansen and Iris Umbalito? This Sun Devil squad lost 2 major seniors in both Riley Richardson and Robbie Ryan, 2 seniors who now hold their names among the greatest of all time in Sun Devil women's basketball. So those are going to be big shoes to fill. But when you look at players like Iris Umbalito and Taya Hansen, 2 girls who have come off the bench for this squad since their freshman year and have started a few games here and there, they got to be able to literally and figuratively take over this team on and off the basketball court, not only in their abilities to score, but also in their abilities to simply lead as major leaders on this team. And third, it's pretty simple. The junior class has got to step up for this young Sun Devil squad. Junior class is made up of players like Jamie Luetta, Taya Hansen, and Iris Umbalito. This team has been rather unproven within that junior class, but this is their time to finally punch their ticket and prove that they belong on top of those Sun Devil greats. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. Now let's shift from women's basketball back to men's. Simon, we've got 3 keys of our own for this season.
Absolutely. I think Arizona State is guard heavy. We call them guard you. We know that. But they have to show up with the forwards as well. And with that, Chris Ostin, big-time junior college transfer, will join the Arizona State Sun Devils roster and is vying for a starting spot. Now, he's competing with Jalen Graham right now for the starting power forward position, and whoever comes out of that battle as the starting power forward, starting kind of big man, the 5, whoever plays that big-time spot, they got to be there defensively because Arizona State lost Romello White in the graduate transfer role to Ole Miss, and he's going to show up in the SEC rebounding rankings for sure, considering he just finished top 25 nationally in rebound and field goal percentage last year. So is it Graham? Is it Ostin? Is it even Tayshaun Cherry? Who is going to be the lockdown defender at the power forward center position for Arizona State?
Yeah, also the big thing, getting off to a hot start. You have huge opportunities early against Baylor, against potentially Villanova, or even Boston College. You got to win at least one of those. Set yourself off to a nice non-conference schedule after that, and then ride all the way to the sunset in the Pac-12. Now we're going to bring in Nick Borges for our 3rd key to the Sun Devil season. What you got for us, Nick?
Needs to be able to utilize Holland Woods. He's a transfer guard out of Portland State. And there's just so many guards on this Arizona State squad that are so good. But if we can spread the ball around between Arizona State and all these guards, the Arizona State squad is just going to be so effective being able to move the ball around. And yeah, just incorporate Holland Woods into this new offense with the rest of the guards, and that'll be key for Arizona State.
Well, thank you, Nick. That's going to do it for this edition of Pitchfork Basketball. Simon, it was great. Let's get into some basketball, NCAA, maybe get to March Madness, so we can all have something to be proud of.
Yeah, let's do this again sometime.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.